Are you frustrated with your timeshare? Well, if so, this video is going to show you how to exit successfully so that you can rip up your contract and not worry about it ever again. If you're watching this video, then like many thousands of other timeshare owners, you're likely disillusioned by your timeshare ownership. When you bought, or rather when you were sold your timeshare, the idea of holiday ownership sounded exciting, beneficial and financially logical, or at least that's what you were made to believe. When you first entered into your timeshare, you were probably excited by the prospect of exclusive luxury holidays. You were no doubt told that you weren't restricted to your own week in your own resort, but you could exchange them, enabling you to travel in luxury anywhere at any time. And all at a price that wasn't available to people who weren't in timeshare ownership. And you were likely told also that your investment was an asset that would be passed on to your family when you die so that they too could benefit. Now, for some people, depending on the resort and the arrangement, timeshares do work out. Sadly, if you're watching this video, you're like many thousands of timeshare owners who found that the reality just doesn't live up to the original promise and has become a bit of a nightmare. You may have found that the annual maintenance fees or management fees has escalated to the point of becoming a financial burden. In addition, many timeshare owners find that they're unable to get availability for the resorts they want and at the time they want. Even worse, the exclusive luxury that you've paid for is no longer saved for loyal timeshare owners. Many such holidays have now become available on sites such as Booking.com or Hotels.com for a fraction of the cost of the annual management fees, let alone what you spent purchasing the timeshare at outset. And all of this is very frustrating indeed. Because of this, many people have tried to exit their timeshares without success. And the asset you believed you were passing on? Nobody wants it, and families are horrified to learn they will inherit the burden of management fees for a holiday that they don't want or that they could get cheaper elsewhere on the internet. So what's the answer? Well, there's different ways of escaping from your timeshare contract, and this video is going to go through all of them in detail. So we're going to have a look at some of the most popular options, which include resale, transferring or gifting your timeshare to somebody else, surrendering your timeshare back to the company that you bought it from, just deciding that you're not going to pay the fees, or using legal avenues to exit your contract. What's certain is that any of these methods is complex, and you should take legal advice before embarking on any of them. So let's have a look at them one by one. First of all, let's look at resale. When you were sold your timeshare, you were probably told that it's an asset with a resale value. So this is usually the first avenue that people explore. Considering you made a sizable investment for your timeshare property and therefore part owned it, it seems logical that you could sell your share or your weeks. And given that property prices increase over time, you can even be forgiven for believing that the value of your timeshare might increase. Now, some may have been lucky enough to find somebody to pay a nominal sum to buy their timeshare, but unfortunately, this outcome is extremely rare. The sad reality for many is that their timeshare holds no resale value. And what's even more unfortunate is that this option has led to unscrupulous people scamming timeshare owners. If you believe that your timeshare holds some value and you want to explore the resale market, then here are some useful tips. First of all, never pay any company up front to advertise your timeshare for sale. Try listing your timeshare for sale on free classified advertising platforms such as eBay, or promote it for free on social media. Set a realistic sales price and research what others are selling similar ownerships for. Consider the time that you're prepared to attempt to resell your timeshare, and also what the associated costs of continuing to own your timeshare in maintenance fees that you're going to incur during this process. Also be aware that there are fees likely to be applicable to execute the transfer of ownership, and you will need to clarify whether the buyer or seller is going to pay those fees. Another option to offload an unwanted timeshare is to transfer the ownership free of charge to somebody else. The key here is finding somebody who will want a timeshare even free of charge, and the ongoing financial commitments associated with ownership. Remember that the majority of timeshares are not considered assets, but rather financial liabilities. So sadly, you're not going to find people queuing up in line to sign a timeshare into their name. After all, consider all the reasons that you want rid of it. Some owners have tried to gift their timeshares to organisations or charities, but again, while the intention might be good, the gift is not often welcome and usually turned down. If you are able to secure a transferee, the process is in effect the same process as a sale as far as a timeshare deed or certificate of ownership, and it's going to need to be transferred to a new owner. Depending on the resort and jurisdiction, there may be certain fees and taxes to pay to action the transfer of ownership, and certain documents may require notarizing. Also, be prepared that the transfer of ownership can take time, and in certain countries, such as the US, transfers can take many months to complete. Be aware that certain resorts have policies on who you can transfer the ownership to. They may need to approve the new owner and may even do checks to ascertain whether they're considered financially secure to take on the financial commitments of timeshare ownership. Such approval criteria may include the transferee being a homeowner, for example. Finally, it's important to note that ownerships that have been seeded or banked in exchange programs cannot be transferred until the ownership has been unseeded, which again can take many months, and bank weeks have been removed from the exchange pools. Some resorts may have a policy to allow for a voluntary surrender. However, usually these are only offered to owners that fit within certain criteria, such as those with poor health and unable to travel. While they don't advertise the option and are reluctant to offer it, some resorts will accept a voluntary surrender to those that fall outside these criteria. However, this is often subject to a significant fee, which can amount to thousands of pounds. Where a surrender is accepted, it's often on the condition that a surrender letter, waiver, or disclaimer is signed by the owner. These documents include specific clauses that waive away the owner's rights to claim against the timeshare company at any time in the future in case it is later discovered that you had a right to claim. You need to note that while surrendering a timeshare may release you from future financial obligations directly connected to your timeshare, such as future management fees, it does not, however, release you from obligations to repay any outstanding finance payments related to the purchase of your timeshare. If you do have considerable finance outstanding and would also like to explore options to cancel these repayments, then a voluntary surrender may not be the best option for you, and you should seek legal advice. In any event, we strongly recommend seeking legal advice before signing any surrender documents. When contacting your timeshare resort to discuss options to cancel, you need to remember that this is an organisation that sold your product for many thousands of pounds, which is now of little or no value. Their motivation is not to give you an easy way out, but rather to convince you to remain an owner and continue to pay the annual management fees. They may inform you that they have an exit policy and invite you to come and discuss this on a visit to the timeshare resort. However, such invitations are simply a tactic to convince you to attend another presentation where you'll not be just persuaded to retain your ownership, but even upgrade or trade in your ownership for something better, maybe even with a better resale value, and requiring further investment. So where's the logic? There is no such thing as a second-hand timeshare. The organisation that sold you a timeshare ownership for many thousands of pounds that is now of little or no value continues to sell the same ownership for thousands of pounds, yet they have no interest to buy back your ownership for pennies. Non-payment of fees may seem a tempting solution. However, it is not just as simple as cancelling a direct debit and binning your management fee bills. This tactic can be extremely risky and stressful, and certainly not one we recommend unless supported by a legal representative who can guide you through the process step by step and advise you of the potential repercussions of defaulting on payments. To start with, you need to understand both your rights as well as those rights of the resort or management company, and what options they have at their disposal to enforce payment for unpaid fees. These rights are often contained within the terms of the resort or club constitution, and one must understand that this constitution may well have changed since you purchased your timeshare. If the terms have changed, you need to understand which terms are relevant from each version of the constitution. In the first instance, after stopping payments, you will likely be sent polite reminders, followed by phone calls from the resort to try to collect the payment. Generally, as time goes on, the tone of the communication switches from friendly to threatening, and while not all resorts follow the same procedures, the next stages of the process can become very intimidating. Many resorts add penalty fees onto the outstanding amount, and some contract the services of debt recovery agencies, who themselves adopt very aggressive tactics to try to enforce payment, which can include threats of commencing with court proceedings. The whole procedure can be quite stressful, and unless you're well informed of your rights, it's not an option that should be recommended, again without professional guidance. By far the most secure way of achieving a timeshare relinquishment is via a legal representative or a lawyer who specialises in timeshare law. They will be able to study the terms of the timeshare purchase agreement, the club constitution, and the law of the relevant jurisdiction. By doing so, they will be able to inform you of your rights, what options are available, and how you can legally and most effectively relinquish your contract. A legal expert should also be able to inform you whether any breaches of contract or statutory duty may have occurred. Such occurrences could open up an opportunity not just to relinquish your timeshare ownership, but also to claim a part or full refund, plus potential legal costs, interest, and in some cases compensation. Such claims are now becoming more and more common, and since the groundbreaking Supreme Court ruling in Spain in 2015, hundreds of owners of Spanish timeshares have lodged claims in the Spanish courts and are being awarded thousands of pounds in compensation. In addition, if you paid for your timeshare purchase or any of the maintenance fees by credit card, and the transaction was for more than £99, then you had additional protection and rights under Section 75 of the Consumer Credit Act. Finally, an opportunity has presented itself to compensate timeshare owners for the financial losses they have suffered. The Timeshare Owners Support Group can put you in touch with lawyers who specialise in dealing with particular timeshare companies and who are assisting timeshare owners to not only relinquish their timeshare ownership but to claim compensations where applicable. The legal advice is free, although there are legal costs involved should you wish to proceed. That said, it's usually much more economical sense than remaining locked into an ever-increasing maintenance fee arrangement. So to recap, for many, timeshare ownership has become a stressful burden rather than the carefree holidays that were promised. Whichever route you wish to take, if you wish to exit your timeshare contract, it makes sense to get free legal advice so you know your rights and options and you can make an informed choice. At the Timeshare Owners Support Group, we can connect you with a legal representative who specialises in timeshare law and have experience with your particular resort. So if you wish to arrange an initial exploratory appointment free of charge, then please either email us on webinars@tosguk.org or give us a call on 0118 328 7154 and we can arrange a home visit with the most appropriate legal team. We look forward to helping you legally and safely exit your timeshare contract. Thanks for watching the video. If you want all the information in more detail, you will find also a PDF guide which has got a transcript of this video that you can read through at your leisure. We look forward to hearing from you.